Do you know what's fascinating? 3 weeks ago, I posted on Facebook, and I wrote something along the lines of, I'll be sharing something at TEDx. And guess what the responses were? Any guesses? Congratulations, well done, you have done it. And I find that fascinating because I haven't done anything yet. Is TEDx a prize for having done something? That's why I feel I don't deserve your applause, but I do have something to share with you. And I see TEDx as a platform for me to do that. Now, if at the end of this talk, if you feel like I've brought you to a new place, clap, stand up even, go woo, whatever. But if I haven't touched you in any way, don't clap for me, because I may not deserve it, right? Now, let me just do something. Another summer day has come and gone away in Paris and Rome, but I want to go home. Maybe surrounded by a million people, I still feel all alone, and I want to go home. Did you get the lyrics? Maybe surrounded by a million people, I still feel all alone, and I want to go home. You see, I don't know where Michael Bublé wrote that song from, but it wasn't home. I mean, he wasn't home, but he wanted to be. So I'm here today to share with you something that I call the art of going home. Each and every one of you today, you have a different definition of home. Each one of you is different, various degrees. So let me just give you a scenario. I'm not going to give you the answer, but figure out for yourself where home is, okay? I have a friend. He came to Kuching in January this year. His name is Vinny. Now, Vinny was born in Manchester in the UK. Now, Vinny has moved to Kuching, and he said he's going to be here forever because he got married here to a local girl. Very romantic. Now, let me just ask you this. Where is home for Vinny? Is it Kuching, a place that he's going to spend for the rest of his life? Or is it Manchester because he was born there? Now, don't tell me the answer. But let me just twist that story a little bit, okay? Because I trust you have a feeling as to where Vinny's home is. So let me twist the story a bit. What if I tell you that his parents are from Hong Kong? And one day, his parents said, we are going back to Hong Kong, you should come with us. How should Vinny say that to his friends? I'm going back to Hong Kong? I'm going to Hong Kong? Well, back to his roots. So where's home? Where's home? Now, on that premise, the art of going home that I'm going to share with you is based on my personal story. I'm going to take you on a journey today. So we have two stops. And then we're going to reach our destination. I'm going to start with the first stop now. The first stop is what I call living home, a place you live. My own story, I left Kuching when I was 17 years old. Went to Perth, Australia to study, and then subsequently I was working in Sydney for 4 years, all up 10 years in Australia. Now, a lot of people say, good life. Why are you here today? Why are you in Kuching? You see, to answer that, there were just two stories in Australia that actually changed my perspective. First story is this. During my second or third year university, I have this very good friend in Australia. His name is Gianni. He's Italian/Malaysian, but he has never lived a day in Malaysia. He proudly declares himself to be Australian. I mean, I don't know, but maybe to him, saying he's half Malaysian, it's difficult. And I understand that, maybe. So you see, When I went to travel with him for the first time, we went to Thailand. And I brought two of my coaching friends with me, Lionel and Lawrence. Now, something profound happened. Johnny was dumbfounded for a moment after hanging out with us for a couple of hours. And I asked him, what's wrong? Anything bothering you? You know what he said? He said, Charles, I've never seen you like this before. You are like someone different, totally. In Australia, you weren't crazy. Right now, you are. You never used to raise your voice in Australia, but now you are. You are completely different. And that actually shook me a bit because it made me feel like, whoa, that's interesting. I've never thought about it like that before. I've never raised my hand in university in Australia, ever. I've never been that kind of person that would just ask people to go out and have drinks. I'm just not that kind of person in Australia. But if you are my friend here in Kuching, it's a different story. I get people to come out all the time. So that was the first story. Kind of shook my reality a bit, but I was studying. There was nothing I can do. And I didn't even entertain the idea of just stopping my studies and to come home. Second story. It was during my 7th or 8th year in Australia. I was working in Sydney. And I have a friend, high school friend from Kuching. Her name is Wendy. She was studying medicine at UNIMAS. Who is from UNIMAS? Okay. You see, she was studying in UNIMAS, and she was to do this practical. So she flew to Sydney to work at this hospital in Penrith for about 6 to 8 weeks. And she brought 2 friends with her. And I remember throughout that 6 to 8 weeks, being the resident tour guide, I would take time off work and I would take them around, show them around, have some Italian gelato, just go to this Korean town called Strathfield and bring them to the Opera House, to the Harbour Bridge. Fun times. And then they had to leave. So they left. That moment was profound because after they've left, I would go back into work, yeah. I would go back to my gym, yes. I would go back to my church, yes, dealing with the people in Australia. And I felt something that I've never felt before. I felt empty. After 7 or 8 years in Sydney, I felt empty. I wasn't able to communicate with my friends in Sydney at that level. The kind of craziness infused into the conversation, the kind of jokes that I make, I was serious all the time. And that was one of the key things, along with some other things, that brought me home. Because to me, and I'm sure it is the same with everyone here, to me, home is actually not a place. Home is not a place. Then what is home? Home is a feeling, isn't it? Home is going back and saying, hello, Mom. Hi, Dad. What's for dinner? Maybe. Or better still, this is what I'm going to cook for you for dinner, right? Being home means having that sense of belonging, feeling like you belong, that comfort, being around people that you care about, that you love, that you would die for. That's home. And the truth is, because home is a feeling, I could have felt at home in Sydney or in Perth, first and foremost, for 6 years. I could have felt at home after just 2 weeks. But it didn't happen for me. After 10 years, it didn't feel at home. So I came back to Kuching because to me, Kuching is home. Kuching is the place that I care about. So that's the first stop, our living home. A place that we feel 100% ourselves and a place that we must be at to do our best work. That's what I believe. Second stop, it's what I call doing home. What's doing home, Charles? All these fancy words that you came up with. What's doing home? Doing home is extremely simple. Leaving home is the place you live. Doing home is what you do daily, what you do every day, what you wake up for. Some of you, I would say a lot of you are still in university, right? And you look forward to Mondays, don't you? What do you mean? What do you mean? Mondays are exciting. Back to school. You see, that feeling that you get as you chuckle, you're going to do that for the rest of your life as you work your 9-to-5 job or 8-to-5 job. And you're going to keep doing that for the rest of your life if you're not home. I worked for 4 years in Sydney as a lawyer. My parents spent their life savings. They dip into their retirement funds, the government retirement funds. In Malaysia, it's called EPF. They dip into the EPF funds to try to get me over the line because we are from a very, I won't say poor. It's not one of those rags to riches story. But we struggled financially sometimes. And towards the end of my studies, having exhausted all resources, money just didn't seem enough. So, I needed to be resourceful to find that extra money to get myself over the line. Having gone through all of the pain, I still remember one holiday I came back and money was running out. And during that 3 months that I spent here on my holidays, I can recall just how many sentences I spoke to my dad because he was so pressed, he was so stressed. Money was the issue. So having gone through all of that, and for me to have secured a job for one of the biggest law firms in Australia, my mom thought I was set. My mom thought she could be, proud of me. And she could tell her friends that, my son is working at one of the biggest law firms in Australia. It's exciting. But I've always told my mom, I said, Mom, you say that you want me to stay overseas because you feel like that is your obligation. You feel like you want the best for me, and you think the best for me is in Australia, and I understand that. But I say to my mom, Mom, I know deep down that you would prefer for me to be back, to see me every day, because my sister and my brother are in Singapore, and they are here alone by themselves. And, I could see that it shook her a bit, shook her reality a bit, right? I'm asking you to think about the things that you care about. Because the things that you care about, you will die for, you will work day and night for, you will wake up every month. In fact, you want Monday to come sooner. If the government declares holiday because we have just won some gold medal, you see, whenever the government announces something like that, I freak out because that's another day that I'm not able to go out there and be doing what I do. So think for yourself, what is that thing that you really care about? Where you feel at home at? If accounting is not home, if law is not home, if pharmacy is not home, if medicine is not home, if engineering is not home, if mass communication is not home, go home. You see, I'm not asking you to drop out of university. Or I might be. You see, at the end of your studies, you're going to be getting a certificate that tells you what you are for the rest of your life. Do you think that's fair? And we are bound by that piece of paper defining us and telling us how much we are worth. Because apparently, if your certificate says you're a doctor or a lawyer, you are worth more. Do you buy that idea, though? It's my question to you. You see, when you do something that you feel at home and that you care about, you are able to live out your purpose. And I believe each and every one of us has a purpose. I really do. The things that drive you. Some of you may not know what that purpose is yet. But I believe if you're at home doing what you do, you are able to make meaning because your purpose is clear. Making meaning means what? Making meaning means forget about making money. try to make meaning first and foremost. I remember reading a guy, his name is Guy Kawasaki, one of the first staff of Apple computers. And he was distinguishing between the two. And it makes perfect sense because, look, here's the thing. If I continue to be a lawyer, what would I be pursuing? I can say career advancement, sounds great. I can say to make my parents proud, sounds great. But at the bottom of these two things, career advancement, making my parents proud, or living a good life, the basis is money. So if I want to make money, I may make a bit of meaning, true. But the truth is, if I pursue money, I may not make a lot of money, and I certainly wouldn't make meaning. But if we try to make meaning, we may make money, but guess what? If you fail, you would still have made meaning. And that has stuck to me for a while after reading what Guy Kawasaki was saying, because it makes perfect sense to me. And I call that home. He called it meaning, I call that home. So that is the definition of doing home. We've gone 2 stops now. So let's finish up. I'll finish up with 4 situations. Okay? Think about what I'm going to share, these 4 situations, and decide for yourself what these people are going to achieve if they, let's just do it. If someone is living at home, it may be you, but you are doing something that you don't feel at home at, is that good or is that bad? That's all right. That's all right. I mean, look, you won't be completely satisfied, but at least you're home. You can be yourself. You can go have your favorite golomi. Second situation. What if you are not living at home, but you're doing something that you feel at home at? Yeah, I can see a bit of meaning there because you're doing something you feel at home at. But because life is 24 hours every day, where you return to, the place that you live, may not be home for you. And that may be a struggle. You may burn out. The third situation, and I hope none of you are there. What if you're not home and you're doing something that you don't feel at home at? There are stronger words to use in this situation, but you're pretty much screwed. Pretty much. The last situation is this, that you are home and you are doing something that you feel is your calling, that you do something that you know for sure it's home. And that, my friends, I put to you, that's magic. That's when you do your best work. I'm going to wrap up now very, very simply because my message is extremely simple. I'm asking you to go home. It's extremely simple, and that's this. I hope that this message would have already get you started thinking about where home is for you. Right? For some of you, you are on that journey already in your heart. And for some of you, even here today, in this very moment, you might have arrived over these 15 to 18 minutes. And for those of you on your way, I bid you bon voyage. And for those of you who have arrived, I say welcome home. Thank you.